You can just fade the music. I'm a trained broadcast professional. I know when the music starts to fade that I should talk. You don't even have to count me in. It's not video. Is my microphone on? You act like it's not. Better be on.
I can see sound waves.
You can see sound waves. Does it have exclusive sound wave technology?
It does. The Glass Case of Emotion does.
Has exclusive sound wave technology. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the grad program bonus hour, because you are one of the special ones. Yes, you are. And, Jared, you want to call this Bacon Lover Friday?
We can call it...
Since that is the first story.
Bacon Lover Friday.
We can call it Bacon
I had
Lovers
bacon
Friday.
for breakfast this morning.
Did you really?
Yep.
I didn't.
Actually, Starbucks gave me this thing. I have the Starbucks app, and they gave me this free breakfast sandwich. That was only good for this morning. So.
Oh, that's why you were late.
Yeah, I had to go get my free breakfast sandwich.
Oh well. If you're going to be late, you need to bring me a breakfast.
I was
sandwich.
actually late because it was raining, but.
Oh, you know what? You know what I'm going to call my guy right there? The guy who's looking at me. Maybe I should call it bacon.
You're going to shake the bacon?
All right, enough hilarity. Or is it enough hilarity? See, that's what I don't know. Is there ever enough hilarity here on Student of the Gun Radio? No, there's not. All right, folks. What is he talking about bacon? Do you want to save the remix for the next part, or you want to do it now? Because we've got an Islam update remix. We've got two stories about the religion of peace and brotherhood.
Let's go ahead and save it for the next one.
Okay. Well, this story, this actually came to us from a couple of different sources. And when it first came out, we shared it on our Twitter, and then we ended up getting it on Facebook, and it's been popping around. But this is from thetelegraph.co.uk, and the title is Oxford University Press, that would be a publisher, bans use of pig, sausage, or pork-related words to avoid offending Muslims. I'm not even joking here, people. I wish that I was kidding. I wish that I was being tongue-in-cheek. But this is true. The Oxford University Press guidelines emerged after a radio discussion on free speech in the wake of the Paris attacks. Oxford University Press has warned its writers not to mention pigs, sausage, or pork-related words in children's books in an apparent bid to avoid offending Jews and Muslims. Stop. Stop right fucking there, you liars. You fucking liars. Did you guys hear those words in the opening paragraph? In a bid to avoid offending Jews and Muslims. Bull crap. You see how they couch their words to try and, oh no, we're not submitting to the goat rapists. It's Jews too. Bull. They never cared about offending Jews before. Since when does anyone in Europe concern themselves with offending Jews? You don't want to offend Jews in the UK? Stop letting in all these goat rapists. Stop opening the borders and flooding your country with goat rapists. You want to... Bull crap. That is a lie. And I'm glad that I could call them out on that lie. The existence of the publisher's guidelines emerged after a radio discussion on free speech. Isn't that amazing? They have a radio discussion on free speech, and their takeaway is they need more censorship. Speaking on Radio 4's Today program, are British people French? Jared, why do they need to put an E at the end of program?
I don't know.
Programme. It's P-R-O-G... I'm sorry, I'm going to make fun of you people until you fix yourselves. P-R-O-G-R-A-M-M-E. That's program in British speak. Presenter Jim Naughty. I'm sorry. Is his name...
Like N-A-U-G-H-T-Y?
Jim Naughty? Is... I don't know if I'm going to make it. Said that I've got a letter here that was sent out by our OUP, Oxford University Press, to an author, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. So here's the deal. They asked a representative from the Muslim Labour Minister of Parliament, Khalid Mahmood, and he said, I absolutely agree. Oh, Mahmood thinks that they should talk about pigs too? Well, I got a question. What are they going to do with all the current children's books in England? Are they going to censor them? Are they going to scrub them? Are they going to burn them? What are they going to do with the Three Little Pigs? Are they going to change it to the Three Little Goats? And this little goat said,
I guess the wolf could hunt the goats too.
The three little goats. And this goat said, or how about this little piggy went to market? This little goat went to market.
Yeah.
Little goat, let me in.
That would work.
And but now hang on, if they did a children's book called The Three Little Goats, wouldn't that be considered Muslim pornography?
Well, if you shear them, if you leave the fur on, then
I don't know. Wouldn't that be considered tempting? You know, that would be like they probably have to censor that book because it would tempt them to perform unclean acts. Folks, what in the world? If you're in England right now, I don't even know how you lift up your head and look in the mirror.
Here's what you can say to those people.
Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next?
Thank you, Eddie Murphy. We appreciate you joining in there. So yeah, we've got the Oxford University Press that's put out a statement telling people not to talk about pigs, pork, or pork products because it'll offend Jews and Muslims. But that's a lie because no one cares about offending Jews and no one cares about offending Christians. Do you notice, Jared, that the only death cult in the world that they're afraid of offending is the religion of peace and brotherhood? If they're really the religion of peace and brotherhood, why are they afraid to offend them? I don't know. But we thought you guys would enjoy that. Now, moving on, this video, it's all in, the verbiage is all in Farsi. It's all in goat rapist lingadi. But it was shot with a cell phone on the street in Turkmenistan. And you probably have seen it. Maybe you haven't because they're doing their best to make sure you don't see this. The great thing about the internet is that it's hard to hide what's really going on in the world. You've got to put your head so far deep in the sand or your cranium so far up your rectum in order to make excuses for the religion of peace and brotherhood today. But they're really queer for video cameras. The Hajj, they have been for years. They're just amazed. They're super queer for video cameras. They video everything. They're like little children running around with these new toys, and they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it on VHS tape and then digital, and now they do it with their phones. So they go around recording their actions on phones, and then they share them with their their fellow goat rapists, and it gets out, and then we find out about it. But you're not supposed to find out about it because that might make you think that they're not really a religion of peace and brotherhood. It might make you think that they're a bunch of third world cavemen, a bunch of bullies and thugs that are just out there using the term religion to try and push their thuggery on the rest of the world. So what do we got here? We have a whole bunch of bearded goat rapists walking around on the street in Turkmenistan, and a woman is walking down the street, and she has a black coat, but the coat has like red piping on it, or it has like red sleeves, and the local imam, he's not down with that, and so they stop her on the street, and they decide that they're just going to hold court on this woman right there. They're going to judge her right there on the street. So they're, we're cool, we're badasses, blah, 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 Dirk Allah, and so forth. And then they force her to her knees as the imam pronounces judgment over her. And Jared's going to play the last 20 seconds or so of this audio clip.
We're going to open it with...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I got all into it, and we didn't do our...
I still don't... For everybody that's listening, I still just do not understand how you miss bright yellow highlighted text. I don't know.
Who, me?
Yes, I don't know.
Because I get going. I'm doing things.
Yeah, but when you look at the thing, there's like bright highlighted text right
All
there
right.
that says Islam update.
Before we get any further, drop it for me, DJ Jazzy Jared.
بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Ich bin Allah so dankbar, ein Muslim sein zu dürfen. Das geht an die Oma, wir sind die Oma. Check das aus. Bismillah. Die Islam ist die Wahrheit. Say what? Wir folgen Mohammed. Wir folgen Mohammed. Mohammed, er ist der letzte Gesandte Allahs. Die Islam ist die Wahrheit.
I just love the Islam Update remix. Jared's got his official DJ Jazzy Jared headphones on there, and he's mixing it. He's got his mixer over there. Do you have turntables? Maybe we should buy you some.
That would be great.
We'll do it. We'll do a GoFundMe so you can have turntables.
Hey.
I'm kidding. I kid. Put down your pens. Don't write letters. All right. You have that audio soundbite queued up?
I believe so.
All right.
I'm starting at 2:19. It's 2:42, so that's good, right?
Yeah, and you're just going to hear, remember, the setup is they're out on the street. One of the Hodges got his phone out. He's recording it. They've stopped this woman whose crime apparently is wearing a black coat that has red on it. And the head goat rapist is standing over her, and he's like doing the Vikur, Vibadasis, Dirk Jihad, Muhammad Jihad, all that stuff. And then they force her down to get on her knees as they stand around her and judge her on the street. This is the religion of peace and brotherhood.
أرض امرأة مسلمة واحدة أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يستر جميع أعراض المسلمين وأن يغفر لهذه المرأة وأن يتوب عليها وأن يجعل تنفيذ هذا الحد عليها طهورا لها في الدنيا وأن تلقى الله وهو عنها راض وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. تكبير! الله أكبر! الله أكبر!
All right, so I couldn't really hear the gunshot in there.
I heard it a little bit.
Yeah, you can barely hear
it was too loud for the microphone to pick up, I think.
Yeah, so it clipped it out. Yeah. So here's the deal. This is how it ends up.
Well, if you want to watch that video, go to the email that I sent you that had the link to the
this is going to be in
bonus hour,
the grad program bonus link. So here they do. They force this woman to the ground. They pronounce judgment over her, and apparently she is a harlot for wearing a black coat. She's wearing all the other normal Haji garb, which has this black jacket with red sleeves, and they don't like that. They're not down with that. So they just decide to pronounce. They judge her on the street, and one of the monkeys standing behind her pulls out a pistol and shoots her in the head, and she falls over onto the ground dead and bleeding all over. And all the other goat rapists start jumping around, screaming what? Screaming that their God is great. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? A wonderful example of the missionaries of the Muslim death cult. You guys in America, you guys in the United States, maybe over in Europe a little bit too, but I think that you guys are way far off the reservation now. But have you ever been in a major metropolitan area and you see, like, especially in the United States, you like the guys in the white button-down shirts with black ties and black pants, and you're like, oh, and they've got books in their hands, and you're like, oh, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, man, I'm going to avoid that street corner because I don't want the Jehovah's Witnesses to ask me if I've been saved. Or the guy who's on the street in New York or L.A. or what have you, and he's got the sign, and he says, "Repent, the end is nigh." That guy, and you're like, "Oh, that guy, stop trying to force your religion on me, man. You freaking Christians need to stop trying to force religion on me. I don't need you forcing your religion on me." The worst thing that the Jehovah's Witnesses could do is to interrupt your like moment and ask you if you've been saved. That's what the missionaries of the Christian faith do. Or they really annoy you because they walk up and down the street in New York with a sign that says, "Repent, the end is nigh." Or they hold up a sign that says John 3:16, and you say, hey, I don't want to see that. I don't need you forcing your religion on me. And then compare that to the religion of peace and brotherhood, where they just stop women on the streets, pronounce judgment over them, and kill them right there. Have you ever been afraid that a Jehovah's Witness would stop you on the street and ask you if you're saved, and if you said no, would pull out a gun and kill you on the street? And all of you agnostics out there, and I know you have friends that are, they're like, well, you can't judge Islam. Look at the Westboro Baptist Church. Okay. Or they're like, people try and make moral equivalence. Okay, first of all, the Westboro Baptist Church is not really a church, but whatever. They've got, 18 members, and they're all related. And so and even as stupid, retarded, and moronic as the Westboro Baptist Church is, does the Westboro Baptist Church ever, stop people on the street, pronounce judgment upon them, and kill them? Hey, Jared, has the Westboro Baptist Church been kidnapping Jews and Muslims and then cutting their heads off and sending the video around the world on CNBC or whatever? Pretty sure not. So, don't ever come to me with that moral equivalency like, well, you guys have the Westboro Baptist Church, and that's the same thing as radical Islam. Yeah. When the Westboro Baptist Church people start chopping off heads, putting people in cages and setting them on fire, then you can come talk to me. So, we thought you guys would appreciate that. And you're like, well, why are you telling me this, Paul? Because you need to freaking know. Because you need to know, and you need to grab your neighbors by the shoulders and say, wake the fuck up. And I know what you're saying. You're like, but Paul, this was in Turkmenistan. That's where you have things like that. That doesn't happen in America. Really? It doesn't happen in Detroit, where a guy standing at a bus stop and gets in a conversation about religion with some of the other people and asks them if they're Muslim. And they reply no. And so he pulls out a knife and attacks them. And get this, Jared, did you see the follow-up on that story? That there was originally being investigated as a hate crime. But they've made the decision not to charge them with a hate crime. And you know what, folks? I think hate crime is bullshit. But it's a freaking two-edged sword. You can't charge certain people with hate crimes. Well, if your skin is light and the other person's skin is dark and you stab them, rob them, murder them, then you committed a hate crime. But if your skin is dark and you kill someone, stab someone, rob someone, rape someone, and their skin is lighter than yours, that's not, no, that's just a regular crime. Hate crime is bullshit. Hate crime is thought police. I don't want to talk, but you can't have it on the books and say, well, in this instance, we're going to charge this person with a hate crime. But in this instance, well, no, not really so much. You say, yeah, but Paul, that was just one single incident in Detroit. What did Johnny Jihad, the recent convert to Islam, do in Oklahoma? He was trying to convert people to the religion of peace, and when they wouldn't have it, he pulled out a utility knife and started stabbing people and cutting their heads off?
Yep.
Oh, that was just an isolated incident, and we're not going to talk about. Have you noticed that just kind of fell out of the news? Like, oh, we're all done talking about that now.
Let's talk about Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
whatever. I don't even know. I don't really watch that news.
Let's talk about something else. Some other kind of distraction.
So
folks, it's happening here already. And do you really think that it's going to lessen and go away? Why would it go away? We have a State Department, we have an administration that cannot do enough to make excuses for this behavior. They can't excuse it enough. But they're just going to realize someday that we really love them, and they're going to stop doing that. Okay. You want?
I was reading the Strive to Excel book by Vince Lombardi last night.
Oh, good.
And this quote, it's another quote that seems like it was written today. It says, man can either provide a full life for humanity or destroy himself with the problems he has created. The test of this century will prove to be whether man mistakes the growth of wealth and power with the growth of spirit and character, or whether, like an infant playing with matches, he destroys the house he would have inherited.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Vince Lombardi was a prophet.
Yeah, there's another one, and I believe these were all on character. He was talking about character. It says, character doesn't spend a lot of time watching TV shows, making excuses, or whining about being owed something.
And Lombardi wrote that in the 60s or 70s?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
He was a prophet. He was a man way ahead of his time, and it was a terrible loss that he left us as early as he did. But he lived a life of purpose. He did. Vince Lombardi lived a life of purpose, which is more than we can say for a lot of people currently inhabiting the United States of America today. We've got a Go Team update for you guys. This is a little bit of good news. We're gonna drop a couple of pieces of good news on you folks. We don't want it to all just be bad news. So, Jared, why don't you knock out our Go Team Moment theme song, and then we'll talk about it.
That's why I say, hey man, I shot.
A good shot, man. Mobile.philly.com is the source for this. Cops. Delco man killed robber in self-defense. Well, rock on. A 68-year-old man fatally shot a man who attempted to rob him in a park in Upper Darby Wednesday afternoon, police said. The shooter was licensed to carry a gun. Whew. I was worried about that. I was worried whether or not he possessed the proper licensing. You notice how they always, you have a license for that? Yeah, I have a license for my gun. Licensed to carry a gun and acted in self-defense by pulling his own revolver on two robbers. Rock on, dude, said Upper Darby Police Superintendent Michael Chitwood. It looks like the victim was minding his own business, walking legally. He was walking legally. Can you walk illegally? Is there an opposite to walking legally?
Apparently.
Apparently, in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, it is.
Maybe legally is a keyword.
Yeah, there's a way to walk illegally, but he was walking legally, so that is an important thing. It's an important part of the story. One of the men had a stick in his hand, and the other man had a gun. The man told police. How do you figure that out when you're like a pair of robbers? You know, you're a couple of douchebags, and you're like, we're gonna go rob people. And you're like, I got a gun. What do you have? I don't have a gun. Can I have a stick? All right, Marv, you can have a stick this time. Okay. How does that conversation go? Who gets to carry the gun this time? You carried the gun last time. Yeah, but you don't know what you're doing with it. You might shoot yourself. You need to have a stick. Well, he pulled his gun and shot the man carrying the stick. Oh, check this out. This is awesome. It says one of the men had a stick in his hand. The other had a gun, the police said. He pulled out his gun and shot the man carrying the stick. That'll teach you to carry the stick, Marv. The other man fled the scene. The shooter was then also, it says, the shooter then also left the scene, called 911, and described the incident. Okay, move to safety. Rock on. The man who died has not been identified. We don't care. He's a piece of human filth. Chitwood declined to identify the shooter, thank you, who was transported to the hospital with chest pains. Rock on. They took care of him. He said the investigation was ongoing, but the charges against the shooter were not expected. Well, I hope not. It says he feared for his life. He pulled out a gun and shoots one of the holdout men and kills him. Hold-up men, it says Chitwood. Police have not identified the third man that was involved. Well, rock on.
Is there a description?
Oh, no. During this entire story, there's no description of the robber that's at large. We wouldn't want to tell you that because that would be racist. That might be a racist thing. So all of you people that are living in Philadelphia, even though that there is an armed robber on the loose,
you just have to suck it.
We don't want to tell you what the armed robber looks like Now, do you think, Jared, that the police took the description of the one who got away from the victim here?
Definitely, I would assume so.
So it is available, and they were able. The Laura McChrystal, who wrote this story, she was able to get the quotes and the info about the story itself, but she just was not able to find the description of the robber that's at large.
Well, that's not important.
Oh, you don't want to prejudice people against felons. Come on now. Oh, but go team moment. Go team. We got some good news here, really good news, from Wisconsin. And this actually kind of surprised me because one of the pills that we got to swallow when they came up back during the 90s, when they started doing the InstaCheck stuff and the 5-day waiting and all during the dark days of the Clinton era crime bill, one thing that came out of that was the InstaCheck system, so that they can just make a phone call and they can check you up or check up on you and decide whether or not you're allowed to buy a gun. Because what you know is there's a bureaucrat, a faceless bureaucrat on the other side of that phone, nowhere near anywhere where you live or occupy or work. And that person is going to make the decision whether or not the gun dealer who you're standing in front of is allowed to sell you that gun. And the cool way to get around that is you just get yourself a concealed carry permit, and then they don't have to make the phone call anymore because you've already been vetted by the state. So I know it's bullshit, but it's what we have to deal with. And when they did that, like for instance, I believe it was in Ohio, when during the Clinton era thing before the InstaCheck, there was like a 3-day deal. It was all horse shit. It really was. But the waiting periods started going away because they said, well, there's no point in these waiting periods anymore because now we have the, quote, InstaCheck system. Well, all right. Well, apparently, up in Wisconsin, they still have a 48-hour waiting period. Even though it's 2015, even though we have the InstaCheck, even though we have all this jazz, they still have a 48-hour waiting period. And this comes to us from the RacineCountyEye.com. And it says, Senator Steve Van Vanguard is proposing the elimination of a required 48-hour waiting period to lawfully purchase a handgun. Van Vanguard, Republican Racine, told the Journal Times he thinks the waiting period is an unfair inconvenience for law-abiding citizens who can pass a background check. Well, duh. That is most often returned quickly via digital records. It says, an individual that is able to lawfully possess a firearm, they're restricted. Why? He's quoting, he says, it doesn't make any sense. Representatives from mental health and domestic violence awareness and prevention groups think otherwise. Saying 48 hours could save someone's life, blah, 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 blah. Fuck off, you disingenuous liars. You creators of slaves. How long did the 9/11 hijackers plan their attack? Like years? There's a story, sorry about that. There's a story that just came out, and I wasn't planning on talking about it, but it fits, so fuck it, you guys are going to hear it first. And it has to do with a medical group that has just decided that high-capacity magazines are a public health issue. And I wasn't planning on talking about this, but there's something in the story, and it's from Breitbart.com, that speaks very well to this 48-hour waiting period horseshit, this cooling off period. Oh, I was going to murder you, but if I have to wait 2 days to murder you, then
I'll just find another way to do it.
I guess I just won't murder you. You know.
So, I think that I didn't look at the stats, but I'm willing to bet money that more people are killed by medical malpractice than by high-capacity magazines.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. And this story here comes from Breitbart, and in the story it says, it talks about background checks and da 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 da. It says, however, Here's some ugly facts. Jared and Amanda Miller, the Las Vegas cop killers, Elliot Rogers, that piece of shit human filth in Santa Barbara, Ivan Lopez, Fort Hood 2014, Darian Marcus Aguilar, Maryland Mall killer, Carl Halverson Pearson, Arapahoe High School, Paul Cianini, LAX, Aaron Alexis, the Obama voter who shot up the D.C. Naval Yard, James Holmes, the Obama voter that shot up the Aurora Theater, Jared Loeffner, the Obama voter, and wasn't he also a MoveOn.org? What's the other thing? The protest puke faces in New York City. The you know what I'm talking about. The 1%ers or whatever. Are you with me over there? Or are you sleeping? Help me out. Who are those puke face hippie scumbags that went to New York and protested Wall Street or whatever? You don't know.
I tend to forget stupidity.
Okay. It was one of those. And don't forget about Nidal Hassan, the workplace violence guy who not at all, just because he was walking around screaming Aloha snack bar as he was killing Americans, that doesn't mean anything. All of those people that I just named, all those felons, most of them Democrats and Obama supporters, all of those people, and representatives of the Religion of Peace and Brotherhood, went through background checks and passed their background checks. So riddle me, how is all these waiting periods? How is that going to save people's lives? I don't think it is. Don't think it is at all. But we thought, and it looks like that the Assembly Committee on Criminal Justice and Public Safety is holding a hearing, and it was, let me see, Thursday. That would have been yesterday. Held a hearing on Thursday in Madison to discuss eliminating the waiting period. And they want you, if you live in Wisconsin, they want you to contact your reps and vote. Tell them to vote yes on eliminating the 48-hour waiting period, because it is really just bullshit, and it's another impediment to the law-abiding citizen, and it has nothing to do with stopping crime or violent criminals or anything like that. Because what do we know about violent criminals, Jared? Are they going to get guns if they want them?
Yeah, they'll. If you live in Australia, they'll make them.
Yeah, well, they're doing it in India, too. They're making them in India. So, and in Canada, they've got all that gun control. And if we in America would just get rid of our guns. It's kind of like, why is there the hippies that live in the elitist in Chicago? When you point out that Chicago is violent and there's murder, and they say, well, it's not Chicago. It's all the liberty and freedom of the people around. They have too much freedom in Illinois and Michigan, and we need to restrict those people. Same thing in New York. They're trying to blame Virginia for all the crime that goes on in New York, because the people of Virginia, if we could just restrict their liberties, it'd be safer. Do you want to? You know what? Everybody in the bonus hour gets things early, soon, faster, because, right, Jared?
Bigger, faster, harder.
Bigger, faster,
stronger.
harder. And we're going to go ahead and dive into this, because you're going to hear it first. And maybe we'll talk about it next week during the Monday section. But you Friday guys, you grad program people, you're going to talk about it first. All right, here's the deal. Breitbart.com, Big Government /2015 Medical Coalition. And the title of the story is Medical Coalition, High-Capacity Magazines, a Public Health Threat. Where have you heard that before? Where have you heard someone say, be careful what you support? Be careful supporting big government or the state when they tell you that it's for your own good. Or, well, it's a public health issue. It may not be constitutional, and we may have no authority whatsoever, but because it's for the people, it's for the children, it's for your health. So we've decided that even though we have absolutely no authority, we're just going to do it anyway. All right. This story is dated February 24th. I don't know how we're just getting it, but story dated February 24th. Oh, I know why. because it's only 2 days old. There you go. On Monday, the American Academy of Family Physicians, the AAFP, announced it was teaming up with the American Bar Association and 7 other health organizations to form a coalition. I didn't know that the American Bar Association was a health organization, but whatever. To form a coalition treating guns as a public health threat, focusing on ammunition capacity magazines, or ammunition magazine capacity. According to the AAFP's announcement, the coalition presupposes firearm violence is a public health issue that needs to be addressed from a public health perspective. The coalition believes that the remedy to this health issue lies in gun control regulations that are entirely consistent with the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Really? Hang on. The public health remedy lies in gun control regulations that are, quote, entirely consistent with the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. You know, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my copy of the Federalist Papers right now. Are you relaxed over there, kid? You having a good time?
Yeah, I'm over here trying to stretch out my back a little bit.
Are you chillaxing? Is that what you're doing?
Yep. I need my turntable so I can be DJ Chillax. That's what I'll be.
Oh, wow. That's just wrong that you said that right there.
Well, he's opening his nice copy of the Federalist Papers that was sent to him from Black Hills, I believe, right?
That's
Jeff
right.
Hoffman?
It was a gift to me by my friend Jeff Hoffman of Black Hills, a true patriot of the United States of America. And here we go. I've got the entire Constitution, but I also have the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments, which was written by James Madison. And Article 2, a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed, period. All right. Now, for all of you that went to good schools and learned how to diagram an English sentence, you will know that in that one single English sentence, that the primary purpose of it is not militia and it's not free state. It's the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And I didn't see anywhere in there where it says asterisk, unless the guns get really big and scary and black and have the thing that sticks down below them that you can hold on to, or are real even more dangerous. Or I didn't see any of that in there. Did you see any of that in there?
Have you heard of I think it's Puckle gun?
Yeah, I've heard of the Puckle gun.
Yeah, that was in existence when they wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Well,
so I mean that's it's like a kind of like a
our buddy. He's not our buddy, but Steven Crowder. Crowder pointed that out in the video that we played, and we've been saying that for years. I know I've been saying.
He pointed out the Puckle gun.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For years and years and years and years, people are like, the Second Amendment only covers muskets. Shut up, you moron. Say, all right, I'll go ahead and walk down that road with you. Then the First Amendment only covers newspapers, pamphlets, and books. Then the First Amendment,
and
freedom
stuff that
of
was
speech,
written with a feather.
Yeah, with a quill
on
pen,
parchment,
or a printing press. So what we could do, if you want to go down that road, is you can say that the First Amendment, that anything that was any device that was not in existence in 1781, 1788, 1792, if it wasn't existent, it didn't existence then, that doesn't cover now. So the internet, there is no free speech. You can't. Shut up, buttface. You just said that the Bill of Rights only covers what was invented in 1791. That doesn't cover your iPhone. That doesn't cover television. All of these Peter Jennings and Brian Williams and all these other liars and puke faces on television, radio, movies, then they have no freedom of speech, as outlined in the First Amendment, because TV didn't exist, radio didn't exist, the internet didn't exist. So by your own admission, and here's the sick thing, though, Jared, is a lot of these puke faces probably think that, well, it might be a good idea if the government got involved in the internet and made sure that there was fairness. Do you know that Comrade Barry is pushing the net neutrality bill again? Do you guys know that? Because, and we're like, net neutrality, what is that? Essentially, it's the government deciding what you can and can't hear. And you think that's a good idea, folks? You think that's what we need in the United States of America? Now, something that people say, well, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, blah, 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 that James Madison or the Founding Fathers established those rights or created those rights.
While we're talking about the Founding Fathers, what I want you to do is next time you get in, I don't know, if you go to like a party with your friends or something, if you're talking to your friends and they're talking about all these celebrities, yeah, if you want to, I would like to extend an invitation to you to the pants party. Are you asking me if I want to go to a party in your pants?
Are you
break?
trying to say there's a party in your pants and I'm invited?
Anyway, if you're somewhere with your friends and they're talking about celebrity this, celebrity that, this football player, that football player, ask them to name the Founding Fathers for you. And if they can't do that, then you tell them that they're part of the problem.
Ask them to name three. Ask them to name
Ask
three.
them to name 2.
They'll all say Washington and Jefferson. Some of them might say Lincoln. He was not a founding father. Ask them who wrote
Madison and Alexander Hamilton. Ask if they don't cover those two, then
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, at least the 2 that I said. You know,
John Adams.
Yeah,
those guys, all those crazy guys. Well, here's the deal: the Bill of Rights is the enumeration of rights that were not granted by man, that are possessed by all men and women, all humans, that they're endowed with by their Creator. And that really is a slippery slope for all the agnostics and atheists in the world, because if you don't believe in a Creator or a higher power or whatever, then you really can't say that you are endowed by your Creator with these inalienable rights, because you don't believe in a Creator. So essentially what you're saying is that all rights come from man. And therefore, because all rights come from man, man can rescind or remove those rights. If someone can take it away from you, it's not a right.
Is that in your Faith and Patriot book?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, if not, it needs to be.
If someone can take it away from you, it's not a right. It's a privilege. It's kind of like able and allowed. If you're talking to me about being allowed to do this or allowed to do that, that means that there is someone in the world that can disallow that. And if you believe that your rights, quote unquote, that are in the founding documents, that those are granted by men, not by your Creator, not by God, but men did that, then men can take those away from you. You understand that, right? You guys are down with that, right? That is why the United States of America is so special. That's why it is so unique. That's why it is so imperative that we preserve this republic, that we preserve the representative republic that we founded. Because if not here, where? Where will you go? What ship will you get on, and what land will you sail to where the citizen is the boss? That's nowhere. Nowhere. This is it, folks. This is the grand experiment in self-liberty, in self-control, in determining your own life. And if we let this go, it's over. We're just going to return to a world where you have elitists and statists and ruling class who've decided, and they will decide what is best for you, and you will shut up and suck it, which is the way most nations are. Now, most nations in the world, especially in Europe, they figured out that they just can't put put physical chains on people because those would be an impediment towards their productivity. So what they do is they distract them, they keep them ignorant, and they keep them guilt-ridden so that they have to be good little slaves, good little peasants, and continue to generate, whatever it needs to be generated for the state, making the food and the electricity and building the buildings and the roads and the highways and all that. You need slave labor to make those. You've got to have it. And so we have to keep the slaves, we got to keep them at least happy enough that they get up every day and go out and work on the roads and the plumbing and take out the trash and make the food and stuff. We got to keep those slaves happy. So what we'll do is we'll provide them with lots of electronic gadgetry and things that just stimulate their brains enough to keep them distracted, so that they think they're free. Well, I have an iPhone. I'm obviously not a slave. Look at my iPhone. It's shiny and it's pretty and it has lots of colors on it. So I'm a free man. I can use Twitter. I can Facebook my opinions. Therefore, I am free. No, you're not free. If you cannot possess the sword, you are not free. And this isn't new. It's been going on for decades, thousands of years. There's been a struggle between the state and the peasantry for thousands of years, since the entire history of man. Look it up, study, do some research. I know you went to school and you learned all about Earth Day and feelings and all that stuff. But folks, you've got to put your foot down. You've got to put your foot down. Well, what do you mean, Paul? What do you mean? When things like this this medical coalition comes out, where does this medical coalition get off telling you, the citizen of the United States, the taxpayer, the guy that actually makes the country function, where do this group of elitist physicians, doctors, whatever, and why are doctors aligning themselves with the state? Jared, why do you think that the ABA and the AAFP, why do you think that they're aligning themselves with the hostile state against the people?
Because of the Healthcare Act.
Because they want the state
to approve their practice.
That's right. They want the state. They want to appear to be, it's no different than every communist country in the world. Yeah, communism's great because it spreads the equal distribution of misery to everyone. No, in every communist state that has ever been, you've had the people and then you've had the party members. And what we know, based upon fact and reality and history, is that when you create a socialism, let's face it, socialism is just communism in a pretty dress and lipstick. That's all it is. It's communist light. It's, communism is ugly and it's a nasty hag over there in a ratty dress. But socialism, we put a new dress on it and put some lipstick on it. Isn't it pretty? That's all socialism is. So every communist country, every socialist country, you always have the haves and the have-nots, even though they pretend that they're all about the people, blah, 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 blah. Kind of like labor unions that tell you that they're all about the working man. We're about the working man. But all the labor union bosses drive around in really super expensive cars and have six-figure salaries and have really nice plush offices and condos because they're for the working man. Shut up. So what we have here, and you guys need to pay attention to this when this kind of crap comes up, is you have an organization that is aligning itself with a hostile state. It's putting itself in a line with a hostile state against the people of the United States, against the citizens. And they can couch it however they want to. Oh, this is just reasonable. You need to be more reasonable. You know what? The wolf preys for reasonable sheep. And that's a play on words there, Jared. There's two preys. The wolf preys for reasonable sheep. Remember that. But all this reasonableness, horse crap, and, you just need to be more reasonable. No, you don't. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you need to do. Americans, grad program members, it's time to Remember what Dalton said in Roadhouse? It's time to be nice. Well, how will we know when it's time not to be nice? You won't. I will tell you. Here's the deal. I'm Dalton. You are the bouncers. I'm the cooler. And up to this point, everyone has told you, be nice until it's time not to be nice. Here's what I'm telling you. It's time not to be nice. Paul, the cooler, is telling you it's time not to be nice. When this stuff comes up, this is when you start telling people to fuck off. This is when you go to the doctor and he hands your little 12-year-old, tells you, I need to see your son or daughter in private. Fuck off. If a physician were to ever tell me, oh, I need to talk to your 11-year-old child in private, fuck off. You're not their parent. We're not filling out forms where you ask, do your mommy and daddy have guns at home? Do you know where the guns are? Fuck off. It's time not to be nice. It's time to stop taking it with a smile. It's time to stop these people because, folks, it's not getting any better.
You can give it with a smile.
Yeah, you can give it with a smile, but don't take it with a smile.
Is that Stewie?
Stewie. The little, yeah, that's a little cherub that I got for Valentine's Day from my beloved wife.
That's funny.
She gave me a Family Guy coffee cup and a little cherub, a little Stewie dressed as an angel. He's the little Cupid. He's dressed like Cupid. Yes, isn't that sweet? So when you hear about things, and the American Bar Association, fuck them. They're communist. Stop taking it. Stop smiling. Stop saying, okay, I'm going to be reasonable. Who told you that you only can have rights if you're polite? Is that it, Jared? You only have rights if you smile and are polite? If you're angry or mean or if you don't smile and say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, well then we're going to take your rights away from you. Why do you think that you only have rights, that you only possess your rights as long as you're reasonable? Do you believe that? And we're going to continue this conversation next week, and we're going to talk about whether or not you have to be in the majority to have rights. And you say, oh, well, what are you talking about, Paul? I don't think that I have to be in the majority to have rights. Well, a lot of your fellow citizens, a lot of Americans believe that, whether they say it out loud or not. A lot of your pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment organizations and groups apparently believe at their core that the only way that you have rights is if you're in the majority, that you have to be in the majority to have rights. And I'm going to leave you to ponder on that this week because we're coming up on 4 minutes right now. As you go throughout this next week, until we're together again next Friday, I want you to think about that. I want you to ask yourself this very, very serious question. Do I have to be in the majority or a member of the majority to have rights? And I don't care what your answer is. I care what your answer is, but it doesn't really matter what your answer is. What I want you to do is I want you to consider that. And whether you say to yourself yes or no, I want you to consider why you answered the way you did. All right, folks. I really, truly appreciate you guys being out there. Hey, guess what? All you grad program members who did the pre-orders on the Patriot Fire Team books, go check your mail because we sent them out early. You're welcome. I know we weren't going to send them out until March, and we did the pre-orders, but guess what? We got the books faster than we anticipated, so we got them out to you faster than we anticipated getting them out to you. So if you are a grad program member and you ordered a paperback autographed copy, a personal or a custom, whatever, custom engraved.
Custom engraved.
No, whatever, you know what I mean.
If you didn't, you can go to store.studentofthegun.com and do that.
Okay, or SOTG.com. SOTGU.com takes you to the store, doesn't it?
SOTGU.com.
Yeah. But, they went out early. And probably by about the time that you're hearing my voice, you'll be able to go to your mailbox and pull it out. So thank you. thank everybody in the audience for supporting us, for your constant dedication. All right, folks. I'm not going to get all mushy on you and tell you that I love you.
That was me stopping you from getting mushy.
Because that would embarrass you. So I won't do that. All right. Have a great week. Remember, beginner once, a student for life.